interrupt our program to bring you a special broadcast. The German news agency Transocean said today the broadcast.
Here's another late development, and this news keeps coming in.
What is up, Kryptonians? Before I get started on today's video, if you could do me a favor, please like the video or share it or subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like the video, it does better in the YouTube algorithm, which means that more people are gonna click on the video, more people are gonna see the video. You know, I'm trying to help us grow here. Now that I've got the shameless self-promotion out of the way, welcome to my Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power video. Also, there are gonna be some mild spoilers for this video. I am obviously gonna touch on some specific stuff that happened in the episode. So if you have not seen the first 2 episodes of Rings of Power, now streaming on Amazon Prime Video, please exit the video right now so that you are not spoiled. Having said that, when it comes to like the larger lore, like the larger Tolkien lore, I'm not gonna touch on most of that because I feel like if I start talking about the bigger lore, I'm gonna start spoiling stuff for people down the road, like stuff that they might do in this season and beyond. That is your spoiler warning. Now that we've gotten all that out of the way, holy shit, Mother of God, Mother of Eru. Does Eru have a mother? Eru doesn't have a mother, I don't think. Now, anybody that knows anything about this series, like the information leading up, you knew that it was gonna be expensive. Bezos owns Amazon, right? And he's like the richest dude in the world, and he wanted to create a Lord of the Rings show, right? So you knew that there was gonna be some serious money put behind this thing. I heard that they put at least $1 billion into season 1, and I heard that overall the series, like the scope of it is gonna be like, I don't know, 400 billion or something like that. I have no idea if that's an actual number, but watching the first couple episodes, yeah, I can see the money. It is one of the most visually stunning, visually impressive TV shows that I think I've ever seen. In fact, I hesitate to even call it a TV show. Cinematography, the art design, the lighting, the color palette, everything that is meant to bring this world in Middle Earth to life. You can look at all of that and say, it's cinema. It's eggs on a tit. It is everything that you would want out of a Lord of the Rings show visually. If I was going to make a Lord of the Rings show, this is exactly how I would want it to look. I would want it to look like this. I would want it to feel like this. Something that adds to the feelings of any show or movie is the score. Now, the score here is gonna be a collaboration between Howard Shore, who you know composed the score for Lord of the Rings, and Bear McCreary. If you don't know who Bear McCreary is, you should play God of War. And there's a heavy dose of Bear on the soundtrack for these first 2 episodes. Damn near got me hyped, and I was just like, okay, where's Kratos? Don't put me in that mood, Bear. Like, like that shit is humming in my head right now as I'm talking about it. Now, the first couple of episodes, or at least maybe the first episode, is gonna be described by a lot of people as slow, and I do think there's some validity to that. There is a lot of world building and lore that they're trying to pack in here. They're trying to set up the characters. They're trying to set up the pieces on the chessboard, so to speak. You get to be in Lindon with the High Elves. You get to be in the Southlands with the men. You get to be in Raytheon. It's the land where the Harfoots are like camping out, and they're constantly moving their camps. You also see a bunch of references to stuff that if you're a big Tolkien fan, you're gonna be geeking out because you're like, holy shit. Anybody catch that shot of the Ents at the end of the first episode? Like they're hard to miss. Everybody loves the Ents, I thought. And if you saw them, kudos. If you didn't, I mean, they're right there. You get to see Khazad-dûm in the second episode. You get to see Eregion. Like, there's just so many awesome, amazing places. Kind of get a glimpse of the undying lands of Valinor too. And this show starts off with a pretty great prologue. Most of the Lord of the Rings stuff that we've gotten has had a pretty great prologue. You guys remember Fellowship of the Ring? Great prologue. Remember Return of the King, where you got to watch Smeagol like eat a fish in front of you? Yeah, great prologue. This one is once again another great prologue narrated by Galadriel. Now, Galadriel is kind of narrating and skimming through some of the events of the First Age. You're gonna hear Morgoth name dropped a couple of times. Also, am I the only one who lost his shit at seeing Morgoth and then the other great shot of Sauron? I mean, holy fuck, that was amazing. That was so epic, dude. Either way, the first episode is really about setting up all these locations. And to be honest, I like the fact that some of them are kingdoms and places that if we get to like the regular Lord of the Rings timeline in the Third Age, a lot of the shit that exists in this Second Age doesn't actually exist anymore. Some of these kingdoms, some of these locations are not what they are in the Third Age. So it just feels interesting because it feels like it's Lord of the Rings before the fall. And I think that's actually kind of a cool way to look at it. Like, wait, the Southlands, isn't that location, isn't that close to, oh, yeah. Actually, it is. Really, the point of going to all these different locations is to set up a bunch of different character dynamics, and there's a lot of really interesting ones that they start out with. Got Galadriel, a headstrong, prideful warrior who is basically among a company of elves who are going across this wasteland trying to find Sauron. She's kind of determined to keep going, and everybody else is kind of like, hey, you know, Sauron's gone. We don't have to worry about the evil. It's over now. You do get a pretty badass moment with Galadriel taking out an ice troll in the beginning. For people complaining, Galadriel is supposed to be powerful. Like, she's one of the most powerful elves ever. She was so powerful that even Sauron regarded her as a threat to him. I like the friendship and the relationship that's set up between Elrond and Galadriel. I like the parallel between Galadriel as like a soldier who doesn't know peace, who can never know peace, who's constantly trying to fight even if there's no real war to fight. I like the parallel between that and Arondir, who's this elf who's stationed in Ostirith, I think it is. It's like right outside the Southlands. He and a bunch of his company have been tasked to watch over these humans in this town because the ancestors of these humans, you know, they served Morgoth or whatever. He feels like a soldier that is down to fight, but he doesn't really want to anymore. He kind of wants to just settle down. He wants to be with Bronwyn. Now, Bronwyn is this chick who also lives in this village that he's watching over. It's kind of funny seeing some of the little flirtations back and forth between them. I do want them to take more time to flesh that out. The interesting thing is what he said, like, oh, I've never known like a kinder touch than you in all my time in this land or whatever. And I'm just like, are there other hot chicks like her? Like, it feels like she's the hottest woman in this location. So how many kind touches have you had, Arondir? I would say my 4 favorite characters, or maybe 5 favorite characters so far, are Elrond, Galadriel, Nori, Disa, who is the wife of Prince Doran. You meet him in episode 2. And Arondir, because I do feel like there's something interesting there with his character and I do want to see them follow through. I hope he's okay though. It looks like he got grabbed by a bunch of orcs or something at the end of episode 2. Second episode definitely picks up the pace in regards to the series. Like the first episode, if it's all set up, the second episode is really more payoff. Like at the end of the first episode, Galadriel has basically abandoned the trip to the Undying Lands, the Blessed Realm. She's like, nah, I don't want to see elf heaven right now. I still want to finish some stuff in Middle Earth. And there's a meteor that comes crashing out of the sky and it lands near Nori. Nori goes to check it out. It turns out to be this giant man who's just sitting there on fire. Easily one of the highlights for me is Elrond hanging out with the dwarves, because after he goes with Celebrimbor to Eregion, Celebrimbor shows him Feanor's hammer and he has like this big dream about building this gigantic forge, the most powerful forge in Middle Earth. You know who Celebrimbor is? You know that he's the one that's gonna end up forging the great rings of power. I loved it when Elrond went to go hang out with the dwarves and Prince Doran is just like so mad at him, because I also love how it showed like the differences in immortality. Like 20 years for an elf is nothing because they live so long. 20 years for a lot of other races is like, what the fuck, dude? That's a long time. And apparently Elrond just said peace out and ditched him, and he wasn't there for his wedding. He wasn't there for the birth of his kids. And as a friend, yeah, that would definitely hurt me. For anybody that doesn't know, Maiar are basically they're it's hard to describe them. They're like these really powerful magical beings. They're like angels that kind of have fallen to earth. Feels like the stranger is a Maiar of some kind. Now, some people are theorizing who he is. I heard some person say, hey, maybe it's Gandalf. I really don't want it to be Gandalf. Gandalf is one of my favorite characters. Gandalf is not really supposed to show up until the Third Age. They could take some liberties in the Second Age because there's not technically an official book that chronicles the Second Age. There's the unwritten tales and then there's the appendices. Please don't let that be Gandalf. I actually have a really bad feeling that this stranger is going to eventually be corrupted and turned into a Balrog. It's possible that this stranger is one of the blue wizards. His eyes were blue and he was writing some weird black speech on the tree next to them when he was talking to Nori. So I don't know. I feel like he could be one of the blue wizards, could be Alatar or whatever. The other question on my mind is the same question that's on Galadriel's mind, which is where the fuck is Sauron? Sauron is not going to be like in his usual form around here. Like he's going to be called the Lord of Gifts. He's going to be in his Anatar form. It does create a guessing game where you kind of be like, who is Sauron pretending to be right now? And who is he going to manipulate into doing what he wants? I don't know, but those are the two pressing questions at the top of my brain right now is what's up with the stranger? Who is he going to end up being? And where is Sauron? What is Sauron doing right now? As far as the lore and the liberties that they take, guys, I get it. It's not going to be 100% faithful translation, especially because it's the Second Age. They're going to take some liberties. They're going to take some chances, just like Peter Jackson did with The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. Story progression was a little bit slow, and there's a couple of things I could nitpick in regards to the lore, and there are certain directions I think they might go. I'm happy that this series is out. I'm happy that it exists. I'm happy that we get to witness it. And I'm happy that we get to witness it alongside House of the Dragon. Like Game of Thrones and Lord of the Rings, two bad bitches coexisting at once. Yeah, like who wouldn't like that? Tell me that you didn't do what Elrond did when he went to Khazad-dûm and just say, he basically says the Elvish equivalent of holy shit. And I was just like, yeah, Elrond, I feel you. I've been saying holy shit since the series first turned on. What was your favorite moment? Please keep it respectful in the comments. Please like and subscribe to the Superfan Show. And if you like what you see, tell me how you feel and stay tuned to hear more from the Man of Steel. Peace.